But then skip on over to, um, pretty sure it's still 525. I might be pushing it right on the edge though. Hopefully I did everything right. Here do we have? Just give me 1 second, guys. I'm almost positive I did everything right. I did do everything right. Do you know how I know that I did everything right? Because Kat is here knocking on my head again. Hi, Kat.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm really good. How are you?
Good. I can't help but notice that little Debbie is upside down.
She is. She's having a rough day.
Is she? I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah. You
Is
you
this
were
something?
part of it.
What's that?
You were part of it.
I'm part of it. I was on her side. You did hear my comment
Oh yeah.
that even if you put a little Debbie in a bowl of oatmeal, it is still a bowl of oatmeal.
Yes.
I think little Debbie would really appreciate that.
Mm.
Yeah,
And
you
I think I
disagree?
told you don't get involved in a domestic.
Okay. All right. But you know what? It's about oatmeal. And I figured, you know,
It is all
if
about
it's about,
oatmeal.
yeah, if it's about oatmeal, then I need to step in. Hey,
Hi.
Sniper. We have Lee here already, and Jessica's here.
Hi.
Jessica's saying hi. Sniper's here. Brian is here. I saw you on the golf course, Sniper. Hey, Bud Files. Jessica says hi. Eric, Lee's saying hi to everyone. You wanted to start with a little bit of breath work.
Yes, let's do it.
Let's. Give me 1 second as I look something up. There was a specific breath work that we've never done before
Cool.
that I wrote down that I wanted us to do, but I need to refresh the ratio. So if you could entertain everyone for
Jack says hi.
uh,
He's doing his
just one,
thing.
1 or 2 minutes. I'm gonna say hi to my cat real quick too. You've had a good day?
Yes.
If you would like, you could let people know what we were planning on talking about.
No, we were talking about the Holy Spirit.
Yes. Let me write this down. And the reason why I was thinking about it, because we talked about the ego quite extensively last week. And it's hard to talk about the ego, put such an emphasis on the ego, which all of us in one way or the other, because we're in a body, we relate to ourselves as an ego. It's inescapable when we're in a body, as a body. We're always going to have an ego. It's always going to be present. It is going to diminish as we practice forgiveness. But as you and I were talking about the other day, was it yesterday? We don't want to spiritualize the ego because the ego is non-existent. So how do you spiritualize something that simply doesn't exist? But if we're no longer relying on an ego to guide us, what can we rely on?
Good question.
It is a good question.
Mm-hmm.
Any suggestions?
You tell me.
The Holy Spirit.
Wow, imagine that.
Yeah. And it is much more reliable than the ego, because
Right.
the ego is always making distinctions, always making demands, always looking out for its self-preservation at the expense of our well-being and the well-being of others. But Holy Spirit makes no distinctions and never makes any demands. As a matter of fact, the Holy Spirit doesn't even recognize things of the ego. It can only recognize what is real, which is the basis for the introduction of the course, that nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Therein lies the peace of God. So what a beautiful way to navigate life. I was just talking to a friend of ours, our friend Brian Lane, about peace of mind. And that's a lot of pressure to put on yourself.
Mm.
To always wanting to have peace of mind, because it's always based on condition when things go right, when someone doesn't push my buttons. Um, and wouldn't that be nice if that uh, didn't happen? If we could say, hey, Kat, I want peace of mind today. Can you do me a favor? Don't push any of my buttons. If you could tell your boss, hey, you know what? I decided today I want peace of mind. If you can just take it a little easy, you know, tone it down a little bit, be a little less boss like. It would be nice if they listened,
Yeah,
but how often have you found that life meets your every demand?
never.
Kind of, kind of sucks, doesn't it?
And so
Um,
it's a gift.
yeah, but so instead of going around wishing, wanting, demanding peace of mind, we forgive. We turn to the Holy Spirit and say, I could choose peace instead of this. And we have a little willingness to have the Holy Spirit show us. So much less pressure, because now we're not relying on life and its ever changing circumstances. It's
Right.
basically Buddhism 101 is if you could elevate your demands to preferences, how much more at peace you would be.
Hmm.
I demand easier traffic. I demand more money in my bank account. I demand more understanding coworkers and neighbors and uh, siblings and whatever.
I demand sunshine when I go kayaking.
Now, to me, that seems like a perfectly reasonable demand. Did you put in your request?
I forgot. I just assumed they knew.
All right, well, then whose fault is that?
It's mine, totally.
All right. So, all right, you ready for some breath work?
Yes.
Jessica, are you with us?
Hi, Lucy.
Hey, Lucy. Hey, Skits.
Hmm?
The Toy Pups is here, I believe. Hey, Danny. Danny's here. Tim is here. Hey, Tim. Jessica is still here. All right, what we're going to do is breathe in for a count of three. We're going to hold for a count of one. And we're going to exhale for a count of 7. And we are going to hold for a count of 1 again.
Okay.
Sounds a little complicated, but I'm going to guide you all the way through.
Okay.
Let's just hope I don't forget. I've never led anyone through this before.
Uh-oh.
It's 3, 3, 1, 7, 1. So the one's not going to be counted. It's just going to be a pause. So we just need to remember 3, 7, 1. Now, if you want, there's 2 ways of doing this breath. There is, you can breathe out through the mouth, pursed lips, for a count of 7. Or you can breathe out through the nose, using the ujjayi breath, for a count of 7. Regardless, as you breathe in, use that ujjayi breath as you breathe in.
Okay.
Simple count of 3. 3, 1, 7, 1. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, so close your eyes and relax. And let's bring a very, very soft focus to the breath now, without any control, without any sense of urgency to have to do any one thing or another. Just breathe. And in that same soft focus, put a little bit of attention on breathing in through your nose and breathing out through your nose. In through the nose, out through the nose. Let your awareness travel down to your belly. And notice that as you breathe in, your belly very, very gently expands and very gently falls back. No effort on your part. The body's own wisdom, rising and falling. Eyes are relaxed. Your jaws relax. Shoulders are heavy, relaxed all the way down to your fingertips. Our next breath, we're going to breathe in through the nose for a count of 1, 2, 3. Exhale however you see fit for a count of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathe in for a count of 1, 2, 3. Exhale for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathing in for 1, 2, 3. Exhale for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathing in for 1, 2, 3. Exhale for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And in for 1, 2, 3. Exhale for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathing in for 1, 2, 3. Exhale for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathing in for 1, 2, 3. Exhale for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And in for 1, 2, 3. Exhale for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Breathing in for 1, 2, 3. Exhale for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Our last breath for 1, 2, 3. Exhale for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Surrender the breath. And just sit there. And as we're sitting here, I'm going to give you a suggestion from A Course in Miracles. Lesson 61 says, Kat, that you are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. Who you are right now, not who you're becoming, but who you are right now is the light of the world. And your function, your only function as the light of the world is forgiveness. Meaning wherever you go, whatever situation you find yourself involved in, every breath, you can extend light. Light being synonymous with love. Moving ahead of you, every moment, clearing the way, forgiving before anything even happens. Knowing that now you're turning everything over to the Holy Spirit and proceeding with that infinite love. Fill yourself with light. Send that light wherever you feel it needs to be right now. And let it go. And when you're ready, open your eyes and I'll see you here.
Am I leaving? See me back in chat.
Not yet. I need you.
That was good.
Good. How'd you like the breath?
I liked it. I did. It took. Well, I was nervous about it, but it wasn't. It was good.
Good.
Words.
They come in handy. Hey, certified. I was a little nervous guiding that I would revert back to 4. Because I'm used to telling people to breathe in for 4. We don't often breathe in for 3.
Right.
This is really good for lowering the heart rate.
Nice.
And we're much calmer when we lower the heart rate.
I felt that.
Good. Jessica, how was it for you? Jessica says, oh, well. So I'm hoping that was a good, oh, well.
Yeah.
And not a, oh, well, I'm going to get you if I ever see you face to face.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
At least I was reading it. You go. You read.
Thank you for that. You're welcome. This was Kat's suggestion to start things off with breath work, and that was a wonderful suggestion. Because it makes everything softer. Now we can approach on this gentle level. Gentle is a very big attribute in A Course in Miracles. It's only, I believe, overtly talked about in the manual for teachers. as one of the 7 characteristics of God's teachers. And as you and I talked about the other day, that those attributes, the characteristics of God's teachers, aren't something that we strive for. It's something that naturally occurs as we practice the course, specifically as we practice forgiveness. And forgiveness seems pretty difficult sometimes, often, maybe most of the time. Why do you think that is? Hi, Shirley.
Are you asking me? I was paying attention to Shirley. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I am asking you, but I saw Shirley's comment that
Yeah.
Nick's getting his own number, which is pretty cool.
Oh, it's okay.
She
Yay.
said she'll be back. Jessica says, where did that come from? That breath? That came from a yogic breathwork site that I participate in. So yeah, the difficulty of forgiveness. Why do you think it's so difficult?
Oh,
And why do you think there's specific things where we often see people say, but not this? And you probably have one. And I, from time to time, have one, but I'm able to work through it. Let's just say I'm getting there.
right. So say the question again, because I have the answer.
Why is it so difficult to forgive big things and little things?
Because the ego's plan for its own salvation is grievances. It wants us to hold on to grievances, so they're very loud.
Is there anything to do to forgive? If we want peace of mind, and we know that peace of mind is our only function as the light of the world.
We call hello? Hello? We call the Holy Spirit to help us.
Yes, because the Holy Spirit doesn't even recognize any of this. Just everything's already forgiven. So we can literally say, I can't do this. It's too much for me. I'd rather hold on to the grievance. I'd rather hold on to the resentment because it fuels something. Of course, it only fuels the ego's existence, but we feel like we're getting something out of it.
Right.
Until hey, Skeeter, until it's too much for us. I think maybe one of the best things about a difficult life is eventually it brings us to our knees where we have no choice but to ask for help. You've been there.
Yeah.
And I've been there. I bet you almost everyone, if not everyone in the chat, if they thought about it, think of a time when they were brought to the knees and just said, it's too much. Hey, Reaper, it's just too much for me. The best thing about the course for me, one of the best things about the course for me, was realizing that I'm not alone and that I don't have to carry this weight and that I can hand all of it over, every last bit of it, to the Holy Spirit. And there's been times when I've done that and it almost feels like instantly a burden's been lifted.
Mm.
Sometimes it feels like it's been done in stages, but each stage feeling better and better. But I love those moments where everything's lifted, you know. Hey, Homestead. Reaper says, Yogi. Danny says, it's good to forgive one another. It is, Danny. And Danny, you know what? Several conversations you and I have talked about that. And you have such a forgiving heart, like naturally. Danny's a perpetual student of the Course of Miracles without ever having cracked the book open. So, as Kat and I were talking about, we are talking about specifically the Holy Spirit as seen through the lens of A Course in Miracles. And if anyone has any questions, doesn't have to be specific to, doesn't even have to be specific about the Course in Miracles, but it could be our perspective of something offered from our own understanding of the Course in Miracles.
I think something you said may have triggered that maybe I'm confused on something, but I was always seeing the Holy Spirit as like our lifeline, and the top of the lifeline knows who it is, knows God and knows itself. But down here, it understands what we're going through. It can see what we're going through and it understands where God can't. God can only understand the essence of what we're going through, not the tiny details.
Right. So
Does the Holy Spirit actually see what we're going through or not?
I think so.
Okay.
But the Holy Spirit only knows forgiveness. So even though it sees what we're going through,
It knows the truth.
yes.
Right.
So it we can think of it as like a double-sided coin. You know what I mean? It's still a quarter.
Thinking.
Yep, a quarter is still a quarter. But one side has heads pointing towards God, the other side still. So basically, that sounds like we get the ass end of the Holy Spirit. But there's no distinction.
Right.
So that was a good. That was a good. I appreciate you bringing that to explain it a little bit better. Here's a question I have for you: the Holy Spirit of your traditional understanding and how you were brought up, and what the Course offers. Because I know you were brought up pretty traditional Christian.
I don't know I think the only understanding I had of the Holy Spirit was that it was something that would arrive in a church service at certain times and everybody could feel it, but I couldn't feel it. But, I didn't, maybe they did teach that it was our personal, it was something that was with us and they did because it's in the Bible, but I just never understood it to be what it is.
Did you have a hard time with the Course in Miracles presentation of the Holy Spirit?
I still listen to it and maybe.
You know, being raised Catholic myself, and there was a Holy Trinity. The Holy Spirit seemed kind of distant to me. Jesus seemed very personal, very easy to turn to. Holy Spirit felt very much like an essence that was almost unapproachable. And Course in Miracles, actually, there's no distinction between Jesus and the Holy Spirit. That Jesus is someone who had given himself so completely to the Holy Spirit that there was nothing left but holiness, setting an example for us to follow. That the more we surrender to the Holy Spirit, the more that we can identify as Christ, not as Jesus, the person, but as Christ, the consciousness. So that opened the gateway for me to surrendering to the Holy Spirit. So Pups had a question. How do we know our guiding spirit or our holy guide? How can we recognize?
That's for you.
Well, it's an interesting question. It's also a tough question because how do you know your guiding spirit, and is a guiding spirit different than the Holy Spirit? And my answer to that from a Course perspective is everything in and of this world, or let's not say this world, everything that we relate to as spirit is an aspect of the Holy Spirit. But the ego wishes to identify things in special terms. This is my specific guide. this is my internal guide, my external guide, that this is, you know what I mean? But in essence, it's all just Holy Spirit. It's all just that which connects us to heaven right now. So the only way to recognize anything is it coming from a place of love. And is it changing? Nothing real is it nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. We could change that to nothing real changes. Nothing real changes. So if the something that claims or sounds like saying that it is a spirit guide, is it giving you encouragement of love? Is it urging forgiveness? If it isn't, then it is coming straight from the ego. Thank you, Praveen. Praveen is here. It says, hello, Yogi sir. Hello, Auntie.
Hi, Praveen. And the Holy Spirit's never going to tell you what to do. It guides, it suggests, it's gentle.
If we could backtrack in time right now, I would say that instead of what I said. I because I like it so much, and it was so going back to gentle. It was such a loving and gentle explanation. So thank you for that, Kat.
You're welcome.
He says we have forgive ourselves also. What do you think of that? Forgiving ourselves, and is there like a difference between forgiving ourselves and forgiving others?
I think ultimately, no. I think once you can forgive yourself for all the things, you can forgive others. And for sometimes it's easier to forgive others, but I think ultimately when it comes down to it,
yeah, I always try to simplify and simplify and simplify. Just forgive. We don't need to even make distinctions between ourselves and others. Just forgive everything, everything that comes up, everything that even slightly disturbs our peace of mind. And this is, again, it's a different forgiveness. It's not a condoning. It's not letting off the hook. It is handing everything over, everything to the Holy Spirit. And it changes relationships. It changes dynamics in the workplace, in neighborhoods. It can change dynamics in countries. And again, it doesn't mean, well, you committed this act against me, I'm going to forgive you. It might come down to saying, I don't understand why this act happened. And I hand it over to the Holy Spirit for my response. And the response is always love on the level of spirit. And if it comes down to some type of justice, what we consider justice on the level of form, then we do so, but we do so with love. What do you think?
I think that would be very difficult. I'm glad I'm not in that position to have to work on that.
It would be very difficult.
Yeah.
But is any more, there's no order of difficulties in miracles.
Right.
So it's no harder to do that than it is to forgive a troublesome cat by my side, who's right now contemplating sticking her claws. She hasn't done it yet, but I can tell she's thinking about it. Mm-hmm. So if there's no order of difficulties, if you can do one, you can do the other. However, both you and I don't think we could do the other.
Right.
At least not right now. And that's okay. We're not in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Dan. Dan says, good evening, my friend. Dam's fish on is here.
Hi, Dan. Hi, Tandra.
Hey, Tandra. Pop says, I feel like we first met, learned how to forgive ourselves in order to be able to forgive others. Once we learn to forgive others, we realize there is no need to forgive others. I like that. Kat, if I were to ask you, what would Ramana Maharshi have to say about that? What would Ramana Maharshi have to say about that?
There are no others.
There are no others. So there's really, it's almost like a cover-up. Once I learn to forgive myself, I'm going to turn towards other people and forgive them. Or once I forgive other people, then I'm going to start working on forgiving myself. The thing is, I think for so many of us, forgiving ourselves might be the hardest of all. So going back to what the Course says in the Principles of Miracles, there's no order of difficulties. Don't make a list and don't make distinctions. Whatever comes up, forgive. If it's something you've done, forgive it. If it's something someone else has done, forgive it as it comes up. No distinctions, no preferences, just forgive. And if you find that you've forgiven, let's say ineffectually, didn't stick, forgive again. As long as it comes up, forgive again. And again, forgiveness is simply saying, Holy Spirit, help me. I can't do it. I can't do it alone. I need your help. Take this burden from me. I can choose peace instead of this. That I surrender everything to the Holy Spirit and love, and in the name of forgiveness. Whatever phrase works for you, just hand it over.
Lee from Magnetic North Adventures asked me to randomly select a verse from or something out of Course in Miracles this morning, and it was talking about forgiveness and seeing each other as equals. That you can't say I forgive you but not you and expect to be forgiven yourself, or to get the gifts that you're going to receive as once you remember who you are. You can't leave somebody out. So that just made a lot of sense with what you just said too. It kind of clicked.
Nice when that comes together.
Yeah.
Danny very wisely says, Yogi, when we forgive, we forget what happened with the other people. I like that very much. Forgiveness very much is forgetting, but it's not like we purposely try to forget. Forgetting happens with true forgiveness, and as it deepens and deepens. Now, by forgetting, it doesn't mean that we don't say that we might not have a recollection. Help me out, Kat.
Yeah.
Thank you. It doesn't mean that we might not recall what happens, but it means that it no longer has that sting. It no longer has the after effects.
You've moved on. It's not even a focus anymore. So it has little effect.
Praveen says the Bible teaches that forgiveness modeled by God's grace is essential. It calls us to forgive others as Christ forgave us, letting go of resentment and seeking reconciliation for spiritual well-being. Very, very often, Praveen just hits it right on the head.
He does.
And very precisely, too. And it's funny how that is the lesson of the crucifixion, but it seldom ever seems to focus of modern Christianity. Was it? Go ahead.
Lee, I'm sorry.
What's Lee have to say? Hey, Ivan.
It was distracting.
About not all he says is rambling?
No. It was, is it time to forgive Debbie?
No. Is it?
No, I'm enjoying.
Let's see. Praveen says, I will come to Auntie and Yogi's home suddenly one day without informing them.
Bring
Please
food.
forgive me.
Bring food or you'll be hungry.
You're not going to share your little Debbie's with him?
Well, my little Debbie's, I'm out on my days off.
Are you?
Yes.
You don't stock up. Hey, nature guy.
No.
I would always think that you'd have a big stock. Like Michael Burkeen always has an emergency pizza in his freezer.
Wow. No. Mm-mm.
Ivan says, what is the subject today? Today we're talking about the role that Holy Spirit plays in our lives when we allow it to. Great thing about the Holy Spirit is it's infinitely patient and is always there. Never holds a grudge. Never like, well, you should have called on me earlier. There whenever we're ready. Do you have a hey, Dr. Alice? Do you have a method, a means of communication, or is it just conversation?
Communication with the Holy Spirit?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Well, if you watch my lives, I talk to myself a lot, so that they're included. It's
Yep.
really easy.
David says, what a combination. Yogi saw knowledge with Auntie's Medis. Help me with that one,
Melodious.
Kat.
Melodious.
Melodious. Thank you for that. And you said that in such a melodious way, too. Voice, deadly combination for my brain. Several people mentioned the double whammy of your voice and my voice.
Putting them
And
to sleep.
yes,
Yes.
their inability to stay awake.
Yes.
All right, Ivan says, what's the Holy Spirit? Can you describe?
You go ahead.
Holy Spirit is the voice of our connection. Holy Spirit was given to us when we decided when we had the tiny mad idea that we could somehow be, hey, Dennis, we could somehow be our own creators, that we were, wished that we could create ourselves in our own image and not in the image of God, and that we could be separate and live a life of impossibility, which is a life separate from God and each other. And because we were endowed with all of the creative powers of God, Him herself, of the universe itself, we could do everything. We could make a universe completely of our own. The only thing we couldn't do is become our own creators. And with that, seemingly stepping away from heaven, we shut ourselves off from God, except God would have none of that, completely so, and granted us the Holy Spirit as our connection and our return policy. That whenever we want, we turn to the Holy Spirit, and that's our ticket home. Holy Spirit is our ticket home. But I always give these really long explanations, and then I say, "What do you think, Kat?" And then you sum it up with like 6 words.
I said it before. It's, the Bible does talk about sending the Holy Spirit as our helper because he doesn't recognize what's going on here. So he needs us to have a connection.
Hey, I have an important question for you.
Yes.
Why doesn't God recognize what's going on here?
Oh, because
And
it's not real. We're dreaming.
right, but doesn't that fly in the face of conventional religious thinking?
Oh, yes, for sure.
Um, that was a huge relief for me when I first heard that. So, wait, some people might take that as, well, wait a minute, I want God involved in every aspect of my life.
Mm.
Um, but God is life itself. God is reality. God is everything. Right now, at this moment, you have no life outside of God, but we are dreaming the world into existence. And Am I frozen?
Not anymore.
Because I looked at my screen and I'm thinking, wait a
Yeah,
minute, is my mouth hanging open?
it was.
How can I be talking with my mouth hanging open at the same time?
What the heck?
Yeah, that's pretty talented. Um, it says, loving the topic. Thanks, sir and auntie. Opposite her non-religious universal law, opposite attracts.
I saw Nature Dog too. Hi, Chris. I don't know if she's still here, but
Hi, Chris. Praveen says, my wife is sleeping now. Today's topic is is for her only. She's a very, very religious person, goes to church every Sunday without gap and reads Bible daily for 1 hour, no matter what.
nice.
Yep.
Hi, Chris.
Hey, Sniper. Sniper says, I'm with you, Praveen, on that. I married a vegetarian and I don't eat any vegetables. True story. Ivan says, any and every description of anything comes from thoughts and ideas, and all of those from where comes mind. Can mind describe something which cannot reach? So, no, not silly questions at all. I agree. Everything comes from mind, and mind is just synonymous with God, and which is why so many, including the course says words, and we could say words are just thoughts, are symbols of symbols twice removed. Symbols twice removed. The Tao Te Ching says the Tao that can be told is not the true Tao. There's also a line in the course that says, we say God is, and then remain silent. But when you have these conversations, it's helpful to use words. Otherwise, Kat and I would just be nodding at each other, which isn't too bad of a conversation. Hey, Bushka. So I agree. So we're using concepts to describe that which is non-conceptual.
Right. And the Holy Spirit was only created for us, right? That was the reason for the Holy Spirit.
Say the last part, please.
Was that the only reason for the Holy Spirit to be created?
Yes.
Thank you.
Because in heaven, which is the mind of God, everything is beyond instantaneous. In that perfect oneness, how could anything not be shared? So there would be no need for the Holy Spirit. So the more we tune in, the more we in Kabbalah they talk about the 99% versus the 1% world. 99% reality versus 1%. 1% is this world. And every time we forgive, every time we listen to the Holy Spirit, every time we commit to an act of kindness, we bring a little more of the 99% world to this world. Eventually, this world is absorbed in heaven. That's a different description, of course, than A Course in Miracles, which says there is no world, which is ultimately why there's nothing to forgive. How do you forgive an illusion? Why would you forgive an illusion? Hey, Leo. Ivan says, maybe the way the creator talks to us is through silence, but because the talking monkey, obviously referring to me, and our get ego, don't allow us to listen. I agree with the silence. One of my favorite lines from Moby Dick is that silence is the only voice of God. And, I forget which psalm it is, be still. I know that I am God. But, again, we live in a world in which words and concepts are useful. So let's make the best of them. Chris says, had a burpee. I was says, sorry, that's okay. Eventually, we figured it all out. Yeah, Praveen says, the Bible describes the Holy Spirit as the third person of the Trinity. fully God, who indwells believers, guides teachers, comforts and empowers them for Christian life and witness. That was basically your understanding too, and
Hmm.
it was for me. And as a Catholic, I like the intimacy of the course description of the Holy Spirit, not as an outside entity, not something that we need to beseech to have a reaction, that it's ever present, um, more intimate than the breath itself, never, never outside of our thought, our actually being uh, our connection to true mind. That I love the description that we have two minds, but only one of them is real. We've given all the reality that it has to the ego, but the more we relate to the Holy Spirit, the more we choose the Holy Spirit in any decision, and we can give every decision over to the Holy Spirit, then uh, the less, or maybe the more, we see through the ego. So another thing you and I talked an awful lot about is there a need to belittle or fight the ego in order to gain higher access to the Holy Spirit?
No.
No.
Fighting anything doesn't work.
No. But of course, for a long time we do. Maybe lifetime after lifetime.
I think Nature Dog had a question.
Yes. How do you change a destructive thing that happened around, say, if you are somewhere? How are you supposed to handle it? If those is an illusion, hope that makes sense. It does. So when the course talks about the illusion, the same way when yogic philosophy, Buddhist philosophy talks about illusion, it doesn't mean that the effects of an illusion within an illusion aren't very real. Doesn't mean they don't suck. Doesn't mean they don't hurt. They certainly do. So whenever you hear Kat talking about an illusion, whenever you hear me talking about an illusion, or a Buddhist master, um, none of it is meant to diminish any pain, any grief, anything that we're going through or have gone through. Um, what we do is ask the Holy Spirit, can I see through what feels real? Can I see through the illusion, to the reality of love? And can I, as much as I'm capable of right now, reside in that state of love? And we do that as often as needed, as often as we can. I think as often as we can might be the best. So we see through it, but on the level of form, we still have to do what's necessary for our safety, for our well-being, um, and to help others at the same time. We don't need to make distinctions. We don't need to look at someone and say, well, you're just an illusion. Um, and it doesn't matter what you did. Forgiveness is very much an internal thing. Nobody even has to know that you're, but they might. That smile on your face as you feel a little more at peace might give it away. But no one has to know that you're going through life forgiving these things. On the outer circumstances, you might want to avoid someone. There's no sense to something that hurts you. Ever.
Yeah.
The Holy Spirit never puts you in a position where you should be hurt. And the more you turn things over to the Holy Spirit, you're guided. So I don't know, Chris, the proper answer other than continuously turn everything over to the Holy Spirit and ask for guidance. Where should I go? What should I do? The Course says, wake up every morning and simply say, I would make no decisions of my own today. I would turn everything over to you. Guide me. Kenneth Wapnick would say, all right, you don't have to get overly carried away and ask if you should have the ham sandwich or, a salad for lunch. But on those big issues, doesn't mean even on smaller issues. little at-home decisions. What's going to serve me best? What do you think?
I think one thing you reminded me not too long ago was that it's okay to feel your feelings. You don't want to bypass feelings just because
Yes.
it's illusion.
And bypassing can be very big in certain spiritual communities. And it can be very big in, go ahead.
I'm guilty.
Are you?
I was, yeah.
How do you step out of it?
I think we talked about it that the spiritual bypassing I was doing was for my own benefit, but it was not loving towards other people. Like I couldn't be empathetic to anybody else because I just couldn't have any of that in my world. I felt like I couldn't feel anything. The only thing I could feel was good stuff.
I'm not a big positive thoughts only. Because only loving thoughts are real.
Right.
Everything else is unreal. Everything else is an illusion. Everything else comes from the ego, which doesn't even exist. So why would I give things that don't exist more attention than they deserve? So it's not that I'm choosing positivity. I'm choosing loving thoughts. I'm recognizing loving thoughts are real and everything else is meant to be smiled at. So instead of bypassing, just recognize the non-existence of it. And in that non-existence, what pops up, you can offer love. And when you offer love to something which doesn't exist, it's like shining light on a shadow. What happens?
It disappears.
I wasn't going to say it explodes, but hey, Mike, MVP Fishing is here. Girl says, long, complicated story to Ivan. Chris says, thank you, Kat and Yogi. You're welcome, Chris. I hope that helps. I'm going to go back. I love the thought that only loving thoughts are real. Doesn't mean I don't have other thoughts. I certainly do. But I get to always return to the loving thoughts, knowing that that's reality. So I don't need to grit my teeth and say I'm going to have a positive thought instead. I just keep going back to the loving thoughts. Again, I love the simplicity of a course.
Ivan says, can we describe a loving thought?
Can you, Kat?
I can. I know when somebody might try to get my goat online, I just remember how much I freaking love them. No matter what they're doing to me, I just freaking love you, man.
And I've seen you do that.
Yeah.
I'm glad you said online, because you live on a farm. People might think that you weren't being metaphorical, that there's someone who was actually trying to get your goat.
Good one.
We don't want that to happen.
No.
And of course, you wouldn't have just one goat. You would have at least 3 goats.
That's right.
In which case, that if someone tried to get your goat, you might actually say, you can have one. I have 3 of them. I'll get another.
No, I say take all 3. You're taking one, take them all.
And again, I have seen you actually do that repeatedly. I also think we don't need to. I don't know if we need to describe a loving thought. We feel it. We experience it. It's reality. It's who we are. And Ivan, it's what you were saying that, thoughts don't capture reality, but we use them. So when Kat says, I love you, or Kat says, I freaking love you, she's using an expression to describe the expressionless. Something caught you.
No, I was just thinking to describe what you just said.
Yeah. And I love that. I love the word the ineffable. Just can't be described. There's a great expression: "Don't f the ineffable," meaning don't muck it up. Don't you know? Don't try to make it into something. But which one is the substance of a loving thought? Personally, I don't think I can tell you that, but I think you know it. When things are right, when you are in a harmonious relationship with yourself, with others, when you have that gentle smile play on your lips, you're having loving thoughts. I mean, could you describe what an actual loving thought is? I mean, we all know it, but does it have an actual label? This is a loving thought. Because I don't even know if forgiveness is a loving thought, because forgiveness in and of itself doesn't really exist. Forgiveness is part of the illusion. It's only needed on that level. It's only needed on the level of form. On the level of reality, there is nothing to forgive. Reed says, I love to live in a place like Auntie's, pure nature, no sounds, no crowd, no street noises, just close to nature.
There's street noises. We have neighbors that talk really loud.
Oh, yeah.
There's things.
Ivan says, can it be possible to reach the illusion of mind through a thing we call reality? Well, I'm not going to. The mind, as described in the Course, is reality itself. The mind is reality, and there's nothing outside of mind. And we don't need to reach through illusion because it's an illusion. It's not here. We don't need to do anything with an illusion other than forgive it. Ivan says, I can't describe a loving thought. Neither can I. Again, it goes back to the Tao that can be told is not the Tao. But I know it when I have it. I'm at home. When I have a loving thought, I'm at home. Mike says, best to keep moving forward and keep looking on to the positive things in your life. The big things are rare. Keep on the little things you love, and the big ones will come. Anna agrees. Nature Guy says, so many times we overlook the little things, and sometimes the little things are the big things. But we are mind. No. We are mind. If we go with the beyond the mind, we're giving that which is not mind a reality it doesn't have. That God is the infinite source of all creation, the mind itself, and everything is an idea within the mind of God. And that which is not of the mind of God is the illusion that you and I created. And when we wake up, the illusion's gone, and there again is just the mind of God, which is there, ever present. We are at home in it. We are thoughts within the mind of God. Skits went to the shop. Skits, how are your legs feeling? Skits did 500 squats today.
Wow.
Praveen says, you both are my inspiration, pure soul, calm nature, sweet and loving. Perfect description of Kat.
Oh, I was thinking that's Praveen.
Reflections. Praveen could not recognize that in you if he did not contain that himself, and you cannot recognize that in Praveen. I definitely see it in both of you. I see it in I can see it pretty much in everyone. It's getting easier to see it in everyone. It wasn't always easy. I love making exclusions. Um, I think we all do at certain points in our life. We do it with forgiveness. Again, we'll forgive this and this and this, but that was just a little too far. But there are, I'm trying to think of what passage in the Course where it talked about, um, not making those distinctions. Oh, you know what? It's funny. I have lesson 35 up because I read about it today, which is, speaking of mind, my mind is part of God's. I am very holy. So there it's all summed up. Again, I love the holographic nature of the Course. If you truly get one lesson, you get the entirety of it. You get everything.
Every time I go over that lesson, I'll walk into a chat room and be like, I am very holy. And people think I'm crazy.
Yeah. You know what? Some lessons are better left not said aloud. At least you don't go around and say, and so are you, and so are you. Maybe not you. maybe a little less for you. Then it says, for me, a loving thought is when you want the best for the subject, a level of caring for them, though our experience with life. I would agree. But it just seems that it's also beyond a thought. In our best, it just happens. Like, Kat, if I were to say I love you, it would be me saying that would almost be like after the fact. The love is already there. The love is already present. Doesn't need to be said, but it's very nice to say it. We are a loving thought. So it's almost impossible to describe it, but we demonstrate it at our very best when we are guided by the Holy Spirit. We are acting without action. It's effortless and doesn't need a description. I was just reading Anthony DeMello this morning, talking about what's the Bible verse about giving with one hand without allowing the other hand to know what's going on.
Yeah.
It's a very Taoist, as well as Course in Miracles statement, that if you're acting with a sense of holiness, you're not acting with the Holy Spirit, you're acting with the ego's conception of holiness. But when you are guided, when you do surrender, when you are acting as the Holy Spirit, no thought of look at me and how holy I am even occurs. When I hear you say to people in your chat, literally those words, I love you so freaking much. There's no thought of love. There's just love. It's being poured out of you. And the words are just what's happening. What do you think?
I like that.
Because I get no sense from you that you're like, well, I better say that I love this person.
No, it wells up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've had those moments. I've had those moments with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had those moments in the chat. And it's just so every loving thought is spontaneous because it's all that is. Everything drops away. Everything that is not love drops away. And you're just left with love. And if someone were to say, Eric, what happened there? For me, the only thing I can say is I broke open. That the ego just broke open and left for that one, what the Course says, a holy instant.
Hmm.
and it's happening more and more. And it's just a beautiful thing. I can't plan it because if I planned it, it would be the ego saying I want that, and it wouldn't happen. Um, and again, I see that in your live streams.
Oh, thanks.
Hey, Michael. Michael woke up from the nap. He's speaking your language, Kat.
Yes.
Anna says hi to Michael. Ivan says, Eric, if we realize that the all universe is us, duality will disappear instantly. So where will we go? No need of that thing we call loving thought. Okay, I agree with that. There's no need of it. No need of a thing called a loving thought because all there is love. And the courses are very non-dualistic. There's just love. There's just God. Nothing outside of it. What we are experiencing is an illusion. When we wake up from the illusion, we realize we were never here at all. When you're dreaming of whatever you're dreaming, Kat, are you there?
No.
But it certainly seems like you're there, right?
Right.
What happens when you wake up?
Maybe relieved.
Yeah, yeah.
You make me sad.
But you're at home, safe in your bed.
Yes.
That's the metaphor. We are at home, safe in our bed in heaven right now, dreaming this world. And when we wake up, when are we going to wake up? I don't know. Whenever Kat tells me to. Get with it, Kat. But in the meantime, we can dream a happier dream. And I like that. And maybe right now, that's enough. For a long time in my life, I was hell bent on awakening.
Hmm.
So much so where it was just all my focus went in awakening, went into deepening my meditation states, went into fasting for long periods of time, went into looking for transcendental experiences from ultra running. And for whatever reason, life started getting softer.
Hmm.
Even in my ultra running, where it was no longer I was seeking something, that I was enjoying my steps. I was enjoying the present moment of what I was doing. And that's when I started thinking about that happier dream that, you know what? Um, I'll wake up when we're all ready to wake up. I'll wake up with you, Kat. Um, and I'll wake up with everyone here in the chat when they're ready to wake up. But in the meantime, I wouldn't mind a happier dream. That gentle dream. Let's see, every time we do this, duality grows. But if duality is an illusion, does it matter if it grows or not? And can anything that's an illusion actually grow? Naveed says, Yogi, sir, and Auntie, a small request, if you please. Could you describe yourselves in short? I'd love to know about your nature, calm or short-tempered, etc. Favorite foods and what you like or dislike.
No. Not too much. You're asking for way too much.
I can do it pretty simply.
Go
I'm
ahead.
not I'm not short-tempered. That I'm basically not saying that I don't have moments. Uh, I certainly do, but very few and far between nowadays, and really for much of my life, um, I was pretty much that way. And um, of course, a lifetime of meditation has certainly helped with that, as well as breath work. And my favorite food is the same stuff that I eat literally every single day, with the exception of pancakes, which I don't get often, but I think I'm in need of. I'm not even sure if I would eat them. I think it would actually be like a pancake IV. I think I need to be hooked up to a pancake machine and have it fed into me. That's how desperately I need. I'm at a dangerously low syrup level
Oh
uh,
no.
in my life. But on the lines of what Praveen was saying
Hmm.
to you, how has um, a lot of people want this? How has the Course in Miracles improved your life? Because people want that self improvement. They want the I want to be a better ego.
I want to be a better ego. I think just for me, I'm not as reactionary, and that's huge for me.
So were you? So
Oh yeah.
I'm going to pin a message because I really like it. Wanting to share something with another is a loving thought. I like
Hmm.
that. So there's no possible. I don't think so. And honestly, I don't think there's a need. Ivan, you have loving thoughts and you recognize them. But if, we've had good examples, but they're all metaphors. The thought is not the thing. I mentioned neuro-linguistic programming, and they say that the map is not the territory, the menu is not the meal. You know, um, so a loving thought is a description. If I were to say this is a loving thought, it would just be a description of something, and it doesn't matter. You know, Ivan, you know what a loving thought is without a single doubt. You know what a loving thought is, but to give it a description would seem to make it something other. It would be the menu and not the meal. This is what happens when you think love is an illusion. Then you love within an illusion. Then you're not really experiencing love. You're having a special relationship. We've all been there. Um, so you want to say anything on that?
What was the question?
What happens when you think love is an illusion?
Oh, I don't know.
Um, I think we kind of know in a way. We have this world. When we think love is an illusion, or when we think that love is fleeting, or when we think that it is something that can be bargained for and with, or withheld, or extended a little bit, then we have a world that looks exactly like the world that we're living in. And we have relationship after relationship that never serves a holy purpose, that never truly fulfills, and always leave us wanting a little something more. Got a bit of a hole that never seems to get filled up, no matter how much, no matter how many compliments, no matter how many gifts, no matter how many, no matter how much sex, no matter how much whatever, we're never completely at home in that relationship because deep down we know it can change, that this person can decide to withhold love, that this person could leave me for someone else, that um, all kinds of things can happen. So when we think love is an illusion, we settle for that. It's just them's the breaks, cat. Love's a gamble. Sometimes it's great and sometimes it sucks. Nazareth, love hurts. But in reality, love, it's an impossibility for love to hurt. Um, so it's recognizing, we could say the entirety of a spiritual path is recognizing what is real versus what isn't real. And I don't know, maybe if I was a guru, which I'm not, maybe if I was a master teacher of a course, I'm not. Uh, I could take you by the hand and show you uh, everything that love is. But I think the whole point of life is learning what is an illusion and what's real, and letting go of that which isn't real. And we walk that path. Or, Kat, do you think there's an easier way?
I'm reading Skid's question or statement. Sorry.
You want me to read it all out?
No, no, but you were talking and my focus was somewhere else, so I apologize.
That's okay. I think I said something that was truly, truly enlightening, and had you heard the entirety, you would have awakened right now. But hey, that's okay, Kat. If you want to stay, if you want to stay in the illusion for another lifetime, it's entirely up to you.
Oh my
Don't
God.
say, don't say I did not. Don't say that didn't help. That I didn't offer it to you. Hey, maybe next lifetime, Kat.
Love and illusion. I think that maybe it wasn't love if it turned out to be illusion. If they're talking romantically, kind of thing.
Right. So romance. Is romance love, Kat?
Oh, that's tough. Can it be?
I think it can be.
Okay.
Um, you know, lots of philosophies have offered classifications of love, but love, love is love. There's no classification for it. But love can be expressed through the vehicle of touch. We are in a body. Why deny it? That goes back to bypassing. So why not allow love to express itself physically? It doesn't diminish love, but and it also doesn't make love greater. But if we think that love is only, sorry, my live stream on my big screen is delayed. So it's playing you where you were laughing and hiding your face because you missed that big enlightened moment that's only
Yeah.
going to come once a lifetime. I wish I could clip that. I would play that over and over again. Fortunately for you, my technical abilities do not allow me to clip anything. So it's when we're hung up on romantic love as the ultimate expression of love itself that we get into difficulties. I saw when my mom entered more and more deeper into um, Alzheimer's and the possibility of any romantic connection between my mother and father was completely gone. Love was um, not diminished in the least.
Mhm.
It was actually enhanced. My father, um, always a very gentle person, became amazingly tender in everything that he did. Um, and we talk about motherly love, which is a pretty awesome force. Um, my mom never seemed to offer me a whole lot of motherly love. I, again, I knew she loved me, but it wasn't always like that type of tender love. But when she entered Alzheimer's, all she had to give was pure innocence of love, of looking at me, uh, and seeing me more through the cloud of Alzheimer's than she ever saw me before.
Mhm.
And it allowed me to um, be so present to her that the entire dynamic of our relationship changed. And that's love. Express different situations uniquely, but always shifting, but always staying love. Bye, Ivan. Ivan, thanks for coming in. Thanks for asking such key questions. I appreciate that, my friend. I always appreciate you coming in. It's been a bit. Um, so romantic love, the expression of love in a romantic sense is awesome. But when we think that it has to always be expressed this way or the relationship is over, if we don't allow the relationship to be what it is, um, each moment, and sometimes it might be romantic, other times it might not be, then it might get romantic again. Um, we do ourselves a great disservice. Hey, Gilbert. Gilbert can't stay. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you. I appreciate that. Chris says that is so pure and beautiful. But had my father relied on romantic love, uh, he would have said, "Hey, I'm going to put your mother in a home. We can't help her." And hey, if another relationship comes up, wasn't even a thought. As a matter of fact, my father said, "If you kids help, we cannot put her in a home. She can
Mm.
stay with us." And we did up until she went in the hospice for. She broke her hip, so she was in the hospital for about 3 weeks, and then we knew it was time. It was hospice after that. But up until that point, she stayed home, and she was with us, and could be difficult, but it was very loving. It was a very loving atmosphere
Nice.
that I loved. I loved my mom before she had Alzheimer's, and I loved her after Alzheimer's, and I appreciate the fact she became my teacher with Alzheimer's. She taught me how to love. She taught me how to be patient, and she her vocation in life was to teach. 50 plus years teaching first grade. Um, but she became my teacher in those final years. Um, what are your thoughts? Romantic love, love taking different forms. Um,
I just think that people can confuse love and the illusion for what true love.
I really appreciate your succinctness. Um, you really do have an amazing way of just of summing things up so nicely, um, without 18-minute long stories.
We like your stories.
Some people, sometimes I do get caught up with numbers. Sometimes I see 20 plus people at the beginning of my story, and at the end of my story, I see I see six. Hey, Ryan. Ryan says Yogi. Praveet says Yogi, sir, with a thumbs up. Nature says, of course, Chris is a great. Chris has been a caregiver as well.
Hmm.
I can relate. We had our mom home also, and she has us all with her. Um, actually, it's when relationship between my brother and I changed, um, because he saw that it was very difficult him to um, communicate with my mom without saying, keywords of "Don't you listen?
Mm.
How many times do I have to tell you?" And he didn't mean it, and he would punish himself. But that's the only thing that you know what I mean? Uh, he had no other option except for frustration, and then he would punish himself for his frustration, which served no purpose other than making him feel bad.
Yeah.
Didn't help my mom, and didn't help him. Um, and eventually he asked me, "How do I do it?" Um, really, my answer was, "I don't know. I just don't want to be mean." Um, and it's not a choice. You just, for whatever reason, maybe it's because I was meditating, maybe because I was practicing the course, maybe because of 100 other things. Um, you just, you'd rather be kind. Maybe it's because I'm shorter than my brother and I'm bald and I wear glasses. I have no other choice than to be nice to people. No, you don't
No.
think so? Danny says, Yogi, it's good to honor our parents. I agree, Danny. It certainly is, and it's a privilege when you're able to. Um, so, Do you guys have any questions? Anything that we've covered? I think we did pretty well with the Holy Spirit.
I
Did
don't
pretty
know.
well. What's that?
I don't know. You have to ask our friends.
Yeah, actually, what do you guys think? Do you have another, did we just confuse you even further, deeper in the illusion? Pulling the cover over your head and saying, I'm never going to wake up. These guys make no sense whatsoever. Sniper says, love you, Mom. Sniper, prayers, my friend. Chris says, sometimes I think some people, they don't mean to be mean. Watching loved ones slowly pass, they are upset and hurt. Agreed, Chris, and didn't know how to express their pain. 100%. I saw especially, I saw that my brother with my father towards the end. Lucy says, awesome, Anna. Anna says, I'm doing great too. Thank you, Lucy. So, yeah, hopefully we did give you a better understanding of the Holy Spirit and the possibility, the infinite possibilities of turning everything. Kat, is there anything that you wouldn't turn over to the Holy Spirit?
No.
Has it gotten easier for you?
Yes.
Do you think you do it every day?
No.
Do you think you will do it every day?
Eventually, yeah.
Me too. I think I probably do it every day, but it's easier for me because I don't go out into the workforce. I don't have, I don't have a whole lot of stuff being thrown at me.
All the more reason for me to be doing it every day.
Like so.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Chris. Praveen has renewed his membership. I appreciate that too, Praveen. Thank you guys so much. So you could sort of say that work is part of your spiritual practice.
Yes.
So is YouTube.
Yes.
Hey, I think in some cases you turn and surrender things to the Holy Spirit almost instantaneously without even thinking about it because they see you do it on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
So you know what? It's an important thing to point out to people. Anything and everything can be your spiritual practice. Everything can be a place of forgiveness. Your workplace and YouTube. And it makes YouTube a whole lot more pleasant.
Mm.
And I still have YouTube moments. I still have triggered moments. Some people might recognize them. I think people who know me might recognize. Hey, JR. JR says, hello, Yogi. Lucy says, so nice of you, Praveen. Praveen is awesome. Anna says, thank you, Praveen. You want to know what I love about YouTube and about our YouTube community? Praveen did something super, super nice. And Lucy and Anna are thanking Praveen for doing something for me. Isn't that like completely awesome?
Yes.
This is, in yoga and Buddhism, they say, the Sangha, the spiritual community. And it just makes me feel so lucky to have this spiritual community.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me feel lucky to have you, Kat. I mention that a lot.
Wow. I'm very happy to have you. I'm a very good manifester too, by the way.
I was thinking about that today, actually, because you probably shouldn't have told me that, because that lets me off the hook. And anything that ever happens, I simply look at you and say, Kat, don't blame me. You manifested me.
Yes.
I'm going to keep that card up my sleeve. Take that anytime. All right. I'm about ready to wrap it up and go to bed.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
You got to work tomorrow. What's that?
Did you even take your pill?
I did.
Okay.
And yeah, you got to go to work tomorrow.
Yep. Woohoo.
But that means you get to interact and forgive.
Practice some more.
Yep. You know what? I hope you have an easy practice tomorrow.
I think it will be. Thank you.
Good. JR says, see you soon, Yogi. CC says, smile. I'm smiling. My heart's almost always smiling. Doesn't always reach my face. Cat, he said, smile. Didn't say yawn.
My bedtime.
That's my bedtime too. All right. So how about I let you hop off
Okay.
and go to bed, and then I'll close down the shop. You can toss me the keys.
There you go.
I'm lousy at catching, so you literally just hit me in the eye, Cat. Anna says, yes, smiling, CC. I do not think I could not smile in the presence of Cat. I do not think I could not smile in the presence of you guys. Anna says 40 likes. Thank you, Anna. I think every time I see Anna say 40 likes, when I see Anna thank someone for doing something kind here, when I see Lucy do that, when I see Praveen do that, when I see Danny doing that, when I see Danny greeting every single person that comes into the live stream, I smile. You know, let's just leave it at that. You guys make me smile. If YouTube is a spiritual practice, and it can be, and it should be, because why not? You're here. You guys make it very easy for me. Maybe I need a tougher crowd. I don't want a tougher crowd. I want you guys. I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm happy here. Lucy says, Yogi and everyone here makes me smile. Thank you, Lucy, because you certainly make me smile, my friend. Cece says, keeps one smile, indeed. Thank you, Cece. Chris says, good night, Cat. Hey, Chris. Sometime I'd like to talk to you about books, because I know sometimes life can get to be a bit hectic, full, busy. So practicing the course might prove difficult, but we can simplify it. Gerald Jambowski, wonderful book, Shortcut to God and Love is Letting Go of Fear, both just over 100 pages. I think Love is Letting Go with Fear presents 12 lessons that are a concise version of A Course in Miracles. You can put things in practice, the methodology, the tenets of the course, without a full commitment to the text and the workbook. And eventually the text and the workbook might call you back. But if you feel right now that you needed something that the course offered, but at the same time felt that you couldn't commit to a 770 some page text and 365 lessons, I think those books would be very helpful. DC says, pure love in the chat. There is. And that's you guys. That's you guys. That's what you bring. Sniper says, good night all. Sniper, it was great seeing you on the course today. Sniper was hitting golf balls, practicing putting. Very focused. All right, so CC says, I'm out for now. Enjoy the personal FaceTime before bed. Much love. Thank you, CC. We actually talked earlier. Have a good night. Is that German? Danny says, Yogi, everyone here makes me smile. Thank you, Danny. And Danny, You definitely make me smile. Kat says, good night. Good night, Kat. Chris says, I enjoy observing you guys' teachings. Hey, that means a lot. I appreciate that. As a matter of fact, that's exactly what I need to hear. All right. With that, guys, I'm going to go to bed. I will see everyone tomorrow morning. And if you're doing something on YouTube, I hope to catch it. I hope to be there. And if I can help your channel in any way, let me know. I'm there for you. If anyone is on Facebook, I hope you can connect, because with the prompting of our good friend and a great teacher, Praveen, he had me start a Facebook page for my channel where we'll post Course Miracle stuff and yoga stuff, and breathwork stuff, and you can post whatever stuff that you want, and it might help you gain a wider audience. So, anyway, Old English, Eric. Thank you, sucker. I would not have picked that out. Chris says, good night. Bless you all. Bless you, Chris. Thank you. Lucy, thank you again for coming up this afternoon. I very much appreciate it. Love you guys. I'll see you later.